Yes, we still continue the news review right here on Power Breakfast on Citizen TV, and I still have a Senator from Makueni Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Chris Wamalwa, MP for Kiminini, and MP for Gishugu Njogu Barua. Now, I want to look at a story that features on page 10 of the Standard, and that is ghosts of CDF losses haunt Raila and eight ex-ministers. If I could just read this quickly. 8 former members of parliament, including opposition chief Raila Odinga, are on the spot after the Auditor General's report exposed fraud during the 10 years. The report shows millions of constituency development fund, that's the CDF, cash was lost through inflated contracts, overpayment and fictitious advance payments for dubious projects. Now, the Auditor General, Edward Oko, has named Langata, Gatanga, where Peter Kenneth was MP, Kipipiri, Kangema, Kachiliba, Voi, Galole, Lurambi and Aldai as constituencies where a lot of money was lost. Now, if you go down there, a second headline on the same story, MPs have reacted angrily to this audit report that linked their constituencies to the loss of billions of shillings. Now, a section of MPs whose constituencies are mentioned in the report have threatened to sue the Auditor General. National Assembly Majority Leader Aiden Duale is one of them. He's accusing the Auditor General of using audit reports for political reasons. Now, this is why. On his Garissa Township constituency, the audit report raised queries of a failure by the CDF team to account for 9.1 million shillings awarded for bursaries. It further questions 6 million of expenditure, as well as irregular awarding of tenders worth 2.9 million shillings. Now, this cuts across very many constituencies, because the other headline there says only 12 constituencies. Only 12 constituencies. That's where the auditor has no problems. Out of all these constituencies, that means there are queries, there are audit queries in the CDF management of at least 273 constituencies countrywide. Surely that's a huge number, and yet they're still fighting for CDF. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, members of the National Assembly, they're not even asking for a special session to discuss the health crisis, but they want a special session to defend themselves over the audit queries.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised about that fact. This is the principle. Let me start with the principle. The principle is that in all sectors where there is money being spent, there are audit queries. We have not streamlined how these audit queries are responded to, and that is why you find that there are pending issues, even though people have exited from office. So there's a query on what happens. In CDF, and I must say I'm not very familiar with how this happens. Projects are started by ex-MP. When another one comes in, they don't take over that project. They abandon and start another one. Those are the issues. Now, the other one doesn't have, assuming you exit, you don't have an exit plan. Now we are preparing an exit plan for governance as to how they exit office in terms of management of their work. But there's no exit plan between one MP to the other. Means you don't have a clean bill of health, the way you present a certificate to say, certificate of good service, we confirm that everything is in order. So I'm not surprised that there are ghosts about mismanagement, even when it comes to Peter Kenneth, who the media has created and made a lot of fantasy about. The fact is that it's a query about a shilling that was spent or misspent or not accounted for, whether it's a receipt or otherwise. So that is the issue. Number two, on principle, the CDF in itself, I must tell you, is unconstitutional. That I must say, in terms of devolution. And therefore, as we progress and move forward, the question of handling money that goes to development at national and county level is something that we must deal with. Because in all these cases, the audit queries come after the fact. Now, the MPs will suggest that the Auditor General is being political. Was he supposed to keep quiet until the exit? That is the question. Governors are saying, if Miss has become an animal walking around their offices and sort of doing all these sorts of things that they are claiming. National government says, the Ministry of Health, they say, this is a draft. This draft is not confirmed. Everybody has got an excuse about the audit queries. But the question is, how is it that we are supposed to do this? This is yet another issue of management of our funds.
Yes.
How do we deal with this issue?
Yes. Now, when it comes to corruption and accusations directly leveled against MPs in terms of corruption, CDF has always featured. Now, I know for a fact that this is a battle, as the Senator says, CDF is something that is not constitutional, but it's something you're still fighting for. When we see such headlines, ghosts of CDF from as far back as 8 years back, Should we really be enthusiastic that National Assembly members are still fighting for more money for constituency development?
I want to start by correcting the senator that is wrong by saying that the CDF is unconstitutional. Maybe he's not aware of the current CDF Act. I want to refer him to go and read.
I'm aware.
No, I don't think he's aware.
I am.
Because it's no longer CDF Act. It is National Government CDF Act.
It's the same.
It's not the same.
It's like baptizing a child.
I want to
Peter, I'm not calling him Paul.
I want to train him on this. When you talk about we have a bill called the Act the Division of Revenue. The Division of Revenue bill, it divides the revenue between the national government and the county government. So here we have the issue of vertical distribution and horizontal distribution. So what happens in the Division of Revenue, after that act has passed, it will distribute the money between the counties and the national. So on that budget of the national is where we get the amount of money that goes to CDF. And that's why the law was changed. It's no longer the CDF Act, it is National Government CDF Act. And when it comes to matters of constitutionality now, I want to tell my friend here that now it is constitutional. Because that was the critical issue when it comes to the Division of Revenue bill.
What did the court say about CDF?
Yeah, the court said before this was enacted, that was previously. But because, you know, we must understand the three arms of government. The courts are there, judiciary is there for purposes of interpretation. And legislature is there to enact. And after the court interpreted and said it's constitutional based on ABCD, it was the responsibility of Parliament to go and correct it.
And you did
and
that.
That's why it was amended. And that's why I want to tell my friend here that he has not read the latest. It's now called a National Government CDF, whereby you are only supposed to implement the projects of the national government as per Schedule 4 of the Constitution.
Yes. Okay.
So matters of matters of inconstitutionality here does not arise. That has already been aligned. And in any case, if there is anything that the court has interpreted otherwise, Parliament is there to enact and to amend it accordingly. Now, having said that, now let me move to the issue of the audit. First and foremost, we need to understand the Public Audit Act. And we need to understand the current CDF Act the way it is. Member of Parliament has no responsibility when it comes to running of the CDF. You know, CDF has gone through a lot of transformation.
But you're the patron.
No, you're not the patron. Please listen, let me explain. You know, when you come to this platform, you give us time to remove some ignorance that exists among people. Because don't come and talk ignorantly. We are here as legislators, and give me your ears. It is also nice to educate you.
So now
what is happening? When it comes to the CDF Act,
you see how motivated.
I'm educating you guys so that you understand. And there's a lot of ignorance among people. Because CDF has undergone transformation. Initially, when it started, that's how it was. But because of matters being interpreted by the courts, Parliament has enacted this act. So right now, as we speak, projects are initiated through public participation. A member of Parliament, you're not involved. Are we together? When it comes to running of these projects, matters of procurement, ABCD, first of all, we have a CDF committee. This CDF committee is elected by the people. It's not appointed by the member of Parliament the way it used to be. That's why I'm saying it has undergone some transformation. So this CDF committee is the one that now runs this fund. And we have a CEO who is called the fund account manager. This is an employee of the CDF board. We also have the district accountant, an employee from Treasury. He's the one who ensures when it comes to writing of the checks, ABCD has to be done like this.
Are you therefore suggesting that we are not going, the NG CDF as it is currently, will therefore not have such headlines, because this is historically, we're talking about even management of CDF as far back as 2008, 2009.
The member of Parliament has no responsibility. If
but
you
he
give me
did
time,
then.
I explain.
Back then he did.
By then, yes. But that's why I've said the CDF Act has undergone transformation. By that time, yes. But currently, as the law is, a member of Parliament has no responsibility. Remember, one of the issues that the court raised is that members of Parliament are there to provide oversight. When it comes to implementation of projects, that's the responsibility of the executive. And that's why we've said The person who runs, the CEO of CDF at the constituency level, is the fund accounts manager, who is an employee of the national government from the CDF board. He's the CEO. He's the one who oversees that.
Yes.
There's no way a member of parliament signs checks.
Yes.
There's no way a member of parliament comes in.
But do you agree? When it comes
to procurement, let me educate people. Give me time.
No. We're spending too much time on it.
So that you understand. So there's something called PMC.
But when it comes to these people, because
just a minute, let me explain to you so that you know what PMC is.
No.
Because you don't know.
But we're spending too much time on that.
PMC is Project Management Committee. This is the committee that is responsible on matters of procurement.
Let's go to the Auditor General's.
So member of parliament has no responsibility here. And where people are messing up when it comes to public audit report, let me explain so that Kenyans understand. What happens when an auditor comes, he needs to ensure whether the procedures were followed. So when you come, for example, like Garissa town, where a member of parliament who is Honorable Dwale, so the 9 billion, whatever, 9 million were given to the beneficiaries of bursaries. So what is supposed to be done, maybe to show the criteria, how the criteria was used to reach out these beneficiaries.
Yes.
So maybe when that time they came, maybe they're not given the criteria. But what happens when auditors go to that place to audit, there's something called management report, which is the exit report. So you sit down with the fund manager. You don't sit down with a member of parliament.
Yes.
Member of parliament is there to oversight, has no role at all. You sit down with the fund accounts manager, with that committee that Wananchi themselves elected. So you say, we've seen this, we've not seen the criteria.
Senator,
can you give us this? So they have to wait to be given that report.
Yes.
So
Before
it does not mean when an audit report is
you will
given,
realize that when it comes to CDF, this is one of the very rare opportunities that you'll hear Bwana Chris Wamalo even defending Aden Duale.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
No. It's true.
It's true when it comes to CDF. Bwana Njogu Barua, do you agree with Bwana Wamalo? When it comes to CDF, all the members of the National Assembly are in agreement.
I think, first of all, I don't want to engage myself and with what Mara is saying. Those are his opinions, and that's not the issue on the table.
No.
The issue on the table is accountability.
Yes.
Yeah, of everybody. And
that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what Mutura said, Junior said. Is accountability.
Yes.
And the issue is, if you become a leader,
Yes.
if you're president, prime minister, senator,
Yes.
MP,
Governor,
we are going to be faced with various challenges.
Yes.
This is one of the challenges we are facing as members of parliament now.
Yes.
You look at the person in the middle there is Tinga, the leader of CORD,
Yes.
who is now suffering a historical issue, which yesterday before he woke up, it was not there. He has to address it.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is the media, the Standard itself in particular, has chosen to do this serialization. They also need to be more responsible in a way that they should do a bit of consultation before publishing these alarming issues. The other issue is that people have been accused.
You feel this is a bit alarming?
It is, but I'm going to explain about it. Maybe the one is not alarming. To me it is, but not me to other people. But the other thing is also, some of these things are from an audit report. And the audit report can be responded to.
Yes. They're audit queries.
Yeah, audit queries can be responded to. The other issue, Mutura, just give me a second, please.
I didn't say I'm just questioning.
You are just questioning. You are threatening my What I'm saying is that they have already done a bit of consultation. Either have a direct responsibility as a member of parliament or not. I am morally obliged to follow up on this issue. So what I'm saying here is, I, as Honorable Dr. Njogu Barua, I want, when I fix my issues, the Standard to take the responsibility of publishing it.
The same.
And saying, Gisho constituent was accused of this, this one has been addressed, this is the auditor's issue, this is the position.
Let me say this.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me say this. You know, and this is to Honorable Chris Wamalo.
Chris Wamalo being addressed.
You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Absolutely.
If the Ministry of Health has failed and the buck stops with Uhuru, if county governments have failed and the buck stops with the governor,
Uhuru doesn't sign checks.
And he doesn't sign checks.
Yes.
So therefore, the point is, the members of parliament must take responsibility. It's that simple. You cannot preach water and partake wine.
But let me tell you why. No. I want to support him.
And let me say this, because all of them spoke.
Yes.
You know, members of parliament are saying, we don't get involved in this. But I know they distribute the checks.
Yes.
They also say we don't get involved with. When the project is over, their names are painted all over the classrooms.
On billboards.
On billboards. You understand? So you take responsibility for the paintings. They take responsibility for other things, but they don't take responsibility.
They don't want to.
Let me explain.
Now, how is it that a CDF management committee, and I know how they run, I've seen their minutes, can be let loose to do whatever they feel like, make decisions that the MP does not approve of, which I doubt. I can tell you that where the money goes has got the influence of the member of parliament, even if he doesn't sit.
Yes.
It is there.
Yes.
Because the people go to him and say, give us this. He says, I'm going to think about it. He goes and influences the decision from somewhere else. Somebody makes the decision. So therefore, if that, and then he goes to inspect. If there's an issue, that is why it is called oversight. Means if you go to a project and allocate 500,000, your oversight means you check and ensure that every coin is spent well. Similarly, therefore, in the queries, the oversight person should ask. That's why we're telling Governor Gachagua,
yes,
you can't say, okay, by the way, I was away. This thing, you know, it wasn't me. It's famous in Kenya. It wasn't me. I was not here. Somebody stole money in the Ministry of Health. It wasn't me. Somebody stole money in the county government. It wasn't me. It's IFMIS. Now it's the project management committee. That person, by the way, that person who is elected is not answerable to the auditor or answerable to the people of Kenya. The person who ultimately should take political responsibility. And that's what we should be preaching in this country. The political responsibility. My good friend has introduced another one. Moral responsibility.
Yes,
now, let me explain. And I think we must bring the difference here. Now,
briefly, we need to move to another story.
Absolutely. Maybe you didn't get properly.
Yeah.
When you say in the county government, the buck stops at the governor.
Yes.
It is true. When it comes to national government, you say the buck stops at the president. It's true. Because these are the executive who implements. As far as legislation is concerned, and the separation of the three arms of government, at the CDF level, the buck does not stop at the MP. The MP
are you absolving MPs
from blame? Can I finish? I've not finished.
No.
The MP is there. No. I'm not saying I'm absolving the many things. Is there to provide oversight. And it's wrong if what Honorable Senator said, it is wrong for a member of parliament to print your names on a project.
But that even ambulances have your names.
No. Then that is very wrong. In community constituency,
it's a fact.
You will never see my name in any of those projects.
You're the only
what
one.
is supposed to be there is supposed to be community CDF,
yes,
but not the name of the member of parliament. That is actually very, very wrong. So it's the responsibility of the member of parliament to provide oversight.
Yes.
But when it comes to implementing that CDF project, it is not the member of
parliament.
parliament.
So when there are queries,
if there are queries are there, the responsibility of the member of parliament, of course, when that audit reports come, you look at it, and you haven't questioned the committee, where the fund account manager is the CEO, so that you ask, what happened to this case? Because you're providing oversight, and you must be able to know.
Bwana Njogu, do you agree with Wamalwa?
Absolutely.
Do you agree with Bwana Wamalwa that members of the National Assembly, when it comes to CDF and queries are raised, they are answerable?
I think members of parliament are responsible in one way, that we do the strategic plans.
Yes.
And the strategic plans we develop are the ones which are supposed to be implemented or funded by the CDF.
Yes.
So we actually participate through public participation in identification. But the question I have here is that
the plans. Who submits the plans these days?
Sorry?
Once you submit the plans.
No, there's a proposal.
They come from
there's a proposal which is taken the CDF board. But any responsible leader, member of parliament,
will check.
We'll have a constituency strategic plan through which the proposal is derived, from which it was derived. Because you cannot develop a proposal from the wild.
So go back to Chris Omala, input and output.
I don't go against my call, but I'm saying this. I read the Sunday thing. I read the CDF article on the Standard. And one statement it caught my attention is that after all these allegations, or these observations, we call it observations, the Auditor General identified only one fraudulent withdrawal.
Only
one. It is just inside the Standard, did it? There was one fraudulent withdrawal. It means everything else can be accounted for if documents are made available. Yes. So what
that is why, Mheshimiwa, I think the words should change.
Yes.
Because when you have an audit query, it's not in itself corruption.
It's not corruption. It's not a fraud.
That's why you, my colleagues, are defending yourselves.
Exactly.
When it's not supposed to.
That's why I'm clarifying. I'm not defending myself. If you
know, misapplying.
No, Mutura, if you listen to my argument, I'm not defending myself.
No,
I'm just
you.
saying. No, I'm not. I'm just saying. First of all, I said, me and my leadership in the constituency, we are ready and willing in the course of the next 14 days to give an account. Yes. That's what I want. Secondly, to me, as Honorable Dr. Njogu Barua, going to court is not the best option. Going to court. For what?
To sue the Auditor General.
To sue the Auditor General. It's not an option. So what I'm saying, what I said is that the only fraudulent withdrawal, there was only one fraudulent withdrawal among all those 273. So let's not jump the gun. It's not corruption, it's Panam. Yes. Let us not crucify members of parliament before they have a chance to defend themselves.
I think the only problem, and the Senator mentioned it, is the fact that members of the National Assembly have been very quick to even ask for a special session, even when they're on recess, and even just looking at you two gentlemen, quick to defend yourself against the queries, not really eager to explain to the public what happened.
But I think the best forum for us to explain the public is through the on the front. It's live on air.
But gentlemen,
the majority or the minority can call for a special session. And maybe Honorable Dwale, it's in his own wisdom. First and foremost, you can't go to court because of an issue of audit query.
How?
What you want is clarity. So it is him who said as an individual. Isn't it? So don't take Honorable Dwale's opinion to say as everybody's member of parliament. He's the leader of majority. It doesn't mean we handle the opinion. No.
Yeah, it's fair comment.
We must say plenary is not the place, because what you have in a plenary, you and I know, is that you're going to bash the Auditor General.
No.
I've
not even mentioned his name here.
But I said plenary, as opposed to saying, out of the 273 queries, you have a report tabled at the National Assembly by whichever committee responsible, saying we have answered all the queries, the report is here, give it to the Standard and say, publish this report.
Yes. Let me explain. Isn't that a better way of doing it? When an audit report comes in, you are supposed to appear before the Public Accounts Committee. And whoever appears there is not the Member of Parliament. It is the Fund Accounts Manager plus the CDF board, because they are the ones from the executive side are the ones who implement that.
And the Member of Parliament, you have no role.
You have no role, but you're also there to provide oversight, to be able to know why is there audit query, so that you need to know. You have a responsibility.
For the sake of clarification, we need to understand that is after it became a national government CDF.
Absolutely.
But any queries raised previously,
before that, the
member of the National Assembly is directly
because he was the implementer.
But the clarification here is that during the 10th Parliament, the members of Parliament used to appoint CDF board members, committee members.
Committee member, that's true.
When we got into office in 2013, the law had changed. The CDF committee members were elected through a popular vote by the people. So those are the people's representatives, and they were gazetted as the custodians of CDF. So what I may give as a member of parliament is my input as an MP and as a citizen of that constituency.
But let's say
we need to move on to another story.
Let me just say this.
Let's say clarity for him to understand.
Finally, it's not clarity. I understand this very well. Like a nursery school child.
Yes.
100 million in a constituency, my friend, is a lot of money to leave to a person who is not direct elected. Is a person who is managing a committee. What we are simply saying for purposes of Kenyans and the people who we represent, all of us, is that you cannot leave the responsibility entirely to a committee who has the role of signing 1 million. They can sign it and give it to another person. And they leave. In the end of the 5 years, Honorable Chris Omalo,
first of all,
you know, at the end of 5 years,
let's go ahead. Let me explain to him so that
is it the one who's going to elect
us? It's not defense. I want my friend to understand. There's somebody called the district accountant. This is an employee from Treasury. He's the one, you cannot do payments. Payments are approved by him. The fund accounts manager, what he does, he raises vouchers in consultation with that management, CDF management committee, which was elected by the people. Then from there, you go to the district accountant. This is an employee of Treasury. He's the one who checks everything. He's the ultimate person who pays. So it's not the fund account manager, by the way, who do the payment. That's why it's complex. We need to, to give people civic education.
This is very important. This is very important. This is very important.
Yes.
One member of parliament was accused of misappropriating more than his allocation. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
Well, those are audit queries raised by the Auditor General, and we'll just have to wait and see how you conduct that clarification, how members of parliament or the committees that you name here will have to clarify, because those are queries, not accusations of corruption.
Queries, yeah.
Queries and can be clarified. Let's talk about what's happening in ODM. And yesterday, the National Governing Council of ODM met and ratified a decision by the disciplinary committee to actually expel 10 members who included, who've been considered rebels, and those included Governor for Kwale County, Salim Mvurya, and leader of Labour Party of Kenya, Ababu Namwamba. Of course, quite a number of MPs have also been expelled, in total 10 of them. And now this means that the registrar of political parties has the leeway to strike them off the party lists. That means that there's a possibility that the Speaker of the National Assembly could declare those seats vacant. But looking at the timelines between now and the election date, because now that would mean that these constituencies that have been affected go for by-election, including Kwale County. But just how possible is this, given the timelines? Remember, it's only 8 months to the election date. Today is 6th of December. 8th of December is
8 months to the election.
It's exactly 8 months to the election. Do you think it's possible? Is it? Should we even think that will happen?
Let me just tell you the principle. On principle, first and foremost, don't expect anything to happen, because the registrar of political parties has not done anything since 2013, and I don't expect the registrar of political parties to do anything. She's just going to muck around the issue and allow the lawyers of all these persons to go to court. They will go get injunctions, and this is going to continue until January. So don't expect anything to happen, because the law is very clear that when, as a member of a political party, you associate, you promote another political party, you are deemed. What does that mean in law? It means that the registrar of political parties is supposed to have eyes back and front.
To do the deeming.
To do the deeming. You don't need all these bodies that are all over the place, sitting, wasting time, and saying. Because even somebody declares, they have declared. All these people have declared. So if you are deemed in law, all you need to do is strike off that person on record. So it's not going to happen, and it will not happen. So don't count on this happening. Don't talk about elections, because it's not going to happen. But in terms of political parties, and why you find Article 91, Article 92, the Political Parties Act, and the way it is and the framework, was supposed to make sure that political people remain within the mandate they were given. And if you don't remain within your mandate, you're supposed to go back to the people who elected you and then ask for a fresh mandate. But we have introduced hypocrisy in our politics. It's hypocrisy in everything. It's going to continue, and everything appears normal. That you can just walk away from your political party, and since you are elected, you move as you wish.
The question, therefore, is then for what purpose would this resolution by the ODM NGC yesterday to expel the parties? Is it just to show that there is party discipline within ODM? Does it serve any purpose in terms of next elections? Does it mean that these people who've been expelled can therefore not apply and come back and return, see the light and return to the party and vie on an ODM ticket? What does it mean for the party?
Before I respond to that, I want to correct Senator. I don't want him to continue misleading the public. When you talk about the Political Parties Act, it was there to bring party discipline. And it's true what he said in terms of if you are propagating interests of another party, you deem to have defected. But you cannot say that the registrar of political party is supposed to see that and strike a pen or whatever it is. No. It is now the responsibility.
That's why it's deemed.
Is now, no, that's what is her work. The responsibility of the political party itself to follow the due process. For instance, you write a letter to that particular person to show cause. You must do that.
And ODM has done all this.
Give me time. That is the process. You must do that. And you also have different organs of the party. For instance, the National Governing Council has ratified what was done by that particular committee. These people were given an opportunity to be heard, which is outlined actually in our Bill of Rights. You must be an opportunity to be heard. So you must follow that process. After it has been ratified, it is now the responsibility of the Secretary General of that particular party, or whoever the spokesperson can be, to do a letter to the registrar of political parties because he's the one who manages, regulates political parties. So once the letter is gone to that register of political parties, the register of political parties will now strike out that name. And Lucy Ndunga has been on record saying that I'm waiting for the communication from the respective political parties. Once that has been done, then she has no otherwise. She must strike the name out. And it's her responsibility again to communicate to the speaker. That is contempt. Yeah, there's contempt of the political parties act is provided for. So once he should be able to write to the speaker, and the speaker must declare that seat vacant, so that that particular member of parliament has to go back to the people to seek fresh
Senator says none of that will happen.
Yeah,
What if
it does not happen, it is now the
pessimistic.
problem of he's pessimistic. But what is supposed to be done?
Before,
No. If somebody is not implementing, maybe the matter is in court for an injunction. For that matter, it can be explained. But if there is no injunction, you've not gone to the court of law.
Has been
The
removed
registrar of political parties, upon striking of that name, is supposed to communicate. So if Lucy is not doing in one way or another, that is maybe something political. But she's obligated. Once you get that communication from the party, they've given that particular person an opportunity to be heard, and it has been ratified by the National Governing Council. She has no otherwise but to do a letter to the speaker to declare that seat vacant, that you can be able to go for the
Njogu
election.
Barua, you say that the senator is being pessimistic. Do you think, do you agree with Bwana Barua that, Bwana Wamalwa, that the registrar will actually do something? Do you think
I
she
agree
will?
with the senator is for reasons.
Or you're pessimistic just like
No,
the
for reasons best known to himself. He's pessimistic.
Very, because it does not happen.
Yeah, I know.
As per the law, it doesn't happen.
Are you
but what
just
I'm
as
saying-
pessimistic?
No, I'm not. I'm just making an introduction to my engagement in this debate. Yeah. But the thing is, there's a dispute.
Yeah.
There's a dispute between the party and the person being disciplined. So the party is ODM, and I'm sure Wiper and Ford Kenya are following suit.
We have done the same.
You are doing the same. You have done your bit
Yes.
as a political party. You have made recommendations, you have invited for letters, they have done it, and you have actually
That's the due
expelled them.
process.
The due process, you have done it. So the other issue is the person who is the victim has also rights
To be heard.
to be heard. If he thinks he's not getting justice from these party congregations, I think he can go to the High Court and get his own
An injunction.
an injunction.
what
It is within his right, isn't it? So when Mutua is saying is actually pessimistic, is because that's the way the law provides for that. We have seen governors being impeached by MCAs, by the Senate, going to the High Court, even some going to the Supreme Court, and they are going to serve their full term.
It's only one.
Wabora.
It's called Wambora too.
Wambora is Wambora.
Wambora too.
Wambora too.
Yeah, it's called Wambora
So he's
too.
actually a governor of the High Court now.
He's the governor of the Supreme Court.
Supreme
And
Court,
Court of
yeah.
Appeal,
So
yeah.
now you can also get MPs who actually supported their position being supported or given legal stay by.
So you're all in agreement that because of the legalities and the technicalities,
no, not the
nothing will
reality.
happen.
That's the way the law is. What I'm saying is that let us not gag parties from doing what they are supposed to do. True. Let us also not gag the victim from defending themselves. So if the defense cannot be executed before 2017 August, then they serve their full term. Yes.
Let me explain.
The other thing is democracy. If they go to the High Court or the Supreme Court and whatever it is, and the court agrees that it should be thrown out, then
so be
democracy should not be limited by time. We should have election at any particular, even if it's 1 month to go,
but in the IBC
because
Act-
democracy is very expensive. But I'm saying, let the victims also be heard.
Okay.
In the IBC
You know,
Act, there's a limitation.
There are few, very many
Yes.
members of the, particularly National Assembly, who have said specifically that in this particular, what I want to do in 2017, I cannot be elected on ODM. And that's why I have defected.
One of them.
One.
Nominated.
Now,
Nominated
the-
Maura.
yeah, when that word, you are deemed. You are deemed.
Even ask for permission.
It's very clear in legal interpretation. This is what I was telling Chris. It's not about rules of natural justice. In other jurisdictions, if you vote against your political party in parliament, you are deemed to have defected.
Absolutely.
On that point alone, you leave the party.
If it was a party motion.
If it was a party motion
Yeah.
and you vote against
The
it,
party.
you are
Yeah.
deemed to
To
have
have
defected
defected.
by dint of that action.
Yes.
So what are you talking about, my friend? I'm just simply saying that we are marking around an issue that in my own legal interpretation ought to be absolutely straightforward, where you state it's the registrar who tells you from your pronouncements you are deemed to have left your political party. If you want a hearing from me, come and tell me why I should not take action against you.
Yes.
Simple.
Okay, gentlemen, our time is up, so we need to wrap up this news review. But even as we do that, there's one. As you make your final comments, I'd like you to comment on this story as well on the IEBC and election timelines, where the IEBC has told politicians to pull down campaign billboards. I'm sure anyone walking around town has seen quite a number of billboards with the names of aspirants and the constituencies they want to seek election in. And the electoral agency wants billboards and banners erected by politicians in various parts of the country brought down as it seeks to stop premature election campaigns. Do you agree that these billboards are premature? As you make your final comments, remember also 2 days from now, you will no longer be allowed to take part in Harambes. As you make your final comments, let's start with you, Bonamalo.
Yeah, I do agree with what IBC has said. And I'm shocked that we have people with the billboards. And I've only seen this in Jubilee, where you see Tuko Pamoja, everything. I've not seen Code side doing this. And I do agree with the IBC that it should crack the whip, because the politicians should not bring the issue of election mood. We still have time, and campaign time is not yet. So it is true, if somebody has been putting the bill, I've seen them, so many of them, all over Tuko Pamoja, and I think he should have said it's Jubilee. I've not seen Cody doing this. So it should be struck out, otherwise they must implement whatever they are saying. These people must be punished. And lastly, you mentioned the issue of Harambes. It is very, very unfortunate. Some of us, we are where we are today because of these Harambes. And that's why some of us, we're going to court for purposes of interpretation. You know, when you say that you've gone to Harambe, you're already influencing. You're influencing somebody likely to vote for you. It is wrong. For instance, I left home, I had about 28 Harambes. There were so many cards which came, and to beat the deadline. Most of them were churches, but cases of emergency. Let's say, for example, like now we have a crisis of healthcare in the country. Somebody maybe has to be flown to India or whatever it is. And you are called upon as a member of parliament or like any other normal citizen. You must participate in that contribution. Yeah. So this law, I think it needs to be...
So you're going to court?
Absolutely. The court is there for purposes of interpretation. Yes. I think the way we are interpreting this, it is very, very wrong. What is wrong with going there like any other person? And in any case, if I come for your Harambe, it's not a must you'll vote for me. Yes. It does not influence you at all. Okay, but I'm just giving a hand from the Christian perspective, helping a hand where somebody cannot afford maybe a healthcare or matters of school fees. Okay. So it is very, very wrong. That's why we need clear interpretation. I know there are many other politicians maybe who are celebrating, but me, Chris Wamalwa, because I've reached where I am through Harambes, we are willing and we are ready to go there and help. But we don't want our competitors to go somewhere and maybe take your photo or whatever it is, so that when it comes to time of going to the ballot, you are told your name should not be there. Okay. So lastly, I want to, my advice to the IBC, we must move with speed. We are not going to allow these elections to go beyond the August. Kenyans are tired. Some people are eating meat. Wengine wanameza mate. I think we should move as per the schedule so that by August 8th, we go for elections and Code Coalition is more than ready to take over this government. And the strikes of healthcare, the strikes of teachers will be something of the past. Okay. Thank you,
Bwana Wamalwa. Bwana Njogu Barua.
I think the issue is IBC.
On the issue of campaign billboards.
Campaign billboards. Is talking IBC tells politicians, and I'm surprised that Chris Wamalwa is only talking about Jubilee. And this is actually doing a news review today, so we are actually discussing what's in the papers today. And I think I support IBC on that. But the question I have is that you may not have seen some posters in the open, but there are some which are online. What do you do with those type of posters? Do you pull them down? And how do you monitor that thing? The other issue is there are some people who are actually distributing small business cards type, small cards to the communities telling them I'm here in 2017 vying for this office. Also that one should be curbed because Kenyan should not be put in any campaign mode at this particular moment. This is a time for development. On the issue of August 8, 2017, Jubilee is very much ready for elections.
What about Harambes?
Okay, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
It's very much for elections. But what I'm surprised is that some of us leaders, we are trying to give an indication or like there might be no peace. Let us also subject ourselves to a peaceful election. Let us not say what I heard James Serengo say, that they are going to have their elections and other people have their elections. We have 2 sets of results. Then this country is going to burn, it's going to be an anarchy. It did not spare CORD, it did not spare Jubilee. This country is ours together. As we go to elections, I want to tell Kenyans, we don't know who is going to win. But the Kenyan people decide the winner. What we require right now as Kenya is a transparent and accountable electoral body to conduct free and fair elections. If you go by that, this country will be peaceful forever. It does not matter who wins, then the country burns. We want somebody to win in a peaceful election, situation. In terms of Harambes, that's the law. So unless we amend the law, or we challenge a few sections of the law in the court, as Chris is saying.
Do you support that decision to move to court?
I don't support that decision to go to court because I think that, like Chris is saying, he had 28 Harambes on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's having 28 Harambes because he's an incumbent.
Yes.
I don't think his competitors got more than 2. In fact, they choose where to go. And they go and say, now me, I'm not elected. Chris is the one in the seat. Go and go find money from him. So this thing is unfair to Chris, who is going to court. Actually, he's going to inflict injury unto himself. So no, I think my personally, I won't support. If you can suspend Harambes for the next 8 months. The country will still run. After 8 months, whoever wins will go back, continue the Harambes. Even if you lose, Chris, you can still go back.
Absolutely.
You can go on with the Harambes.
Continue the Harambes.
Yes, you can go on the Harambes.
God has given you more.
Yeah. But on the 8th election, we are ready for it. Okay. And we are sure Jubilee is going to sweep the board. Yes. We talked about some counties being locked from Jubilee. And we have done our own assessment. You know, some areas like areas X, we got about 10%, 2013. What you want is not get 100%. We just want to uplift our stakes
from 10
to 20.
Okay.
So that you get our numbers higher.
That's a strategy.
We have a winning strategy. Please brace yourself for another 5 years in the opposition, maybe more. Finally, I would like to pass my greetings to the people of Geshogo, Kara, of Idare, of Mokarara, Karani Kara. I greet you today. Okay. Thank you very much.
I mean, thank you, Borabaru. It's the first time I've heard an MP send salams. Citizen, the news were corona. One, these timelines, all these timelines, there are timelines about Harambes.
Yes.
There are timelines about people resigning from office. There are timelines on everything. So for Chris, much more Chris, if you change one timeline, you must change all
the others.
Because it's a strict timetable. And this is a timetable in a cycle of 5 years. If you had wanted to challenge this, you should have challenged this because this has been in the law for the last, since 2013. Before the last election, it's 2012 actually. So we have survived one election. 2, it's not the causes, it's the fact that Harambes have been abused.
Yes.
But particularly by politicians and incumbents, because members of parliament are going with CDF checks and says, oh, this school we have come, this is my contribution, it's a CDF check. So this is where the problem is.
It's misleading. You should not allow him to mislead the public.
That's why you should allow me to speak.
They
distribute this in Harambes.
No,
I can tell you.
Then that's very wrong.
Come on.
Then that's very wrong. They should not do that.
I speak facts. On billboards, it's a little too late because there are billboards along Mombasa Road, etc., etc. That's what I'm saying, that going to the next general elections, IBC must move forward and ensure that the code of conduct by parties, not just on billboards, but on speech, on matters of violence, are things that are highlighted as quickly. And it's not enough to say, pull down the billboard. We should be enforcing sanctions, because there are sanctions under the law about violating these issues. And therefore, I'm happy that he says what he says, and I hope the people of Ukambani are listening, that they're not interested in anything other than increasing from 20 to 10% to 20%. They're not interested in you. They just want that 20% for purposes of 50+1. So entertain them as much as possible. 50+1 is what they're looking for. They're not interested in you. vote for code where we will not only do 10%, we are going to do 100%. We want an all-inclusive government of people, both in the one who voted for the opposition and the people who vote against the opposition.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Senator Mutula Kilonzo from Makueni, MP for Kiminini Chris Omala, and MP for Gishugu Njogu Barua, helping us look at the headlines this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been our news review. Power Breakfast continues, but we now take a short break. From me, my name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.